Something crazy just happened in my New York tropical garden. My dragon fruit bloomed for the first time. But as beautiful as that is, things are about to get ugly in Palm Valley, so stick around for my full August garden tour and my latest soap opera episode. Hi everyone, it's Tim. Welcome back to my garden. I really appreciate all of you tuning in. It has been a crazy week. It's always a crazy week here for some reason, but it's been really warm during the day and it's getting really cool at night. And I don't like that. I want summer. It's August, it should be warmer than it is, but it is quite cool at night, believe it or not. I feel like I am a little bit like with the Europeans because they're having a few cooler nights. I know my friends in Norway have told me it's been great weather, and I want to say hi to my friends in Norway. I want to say hi to Tomas and Olivia. I believe that's pronounced correctly, we'll see. But I want to say hi to you both and thank you for watching me here in New York. And I am very envious of your climate in Norway. A lot of the Norwegians who watch me all tell me about how they're zone 8 and 9 and they have better weather during the winter than I do, which drives me crazy. How can you be that far north and have better, well, I know why. It's because of the Gulf Stream, but it seems very unfair. Anyway, I digress. I am not ready at all for fall. I'm just putting that way out there. So just saying, I am not at all ready. It is the last week of August. I cannot believe that. That is just crazy to me. So I'm going to enjoy every second of it over the next couple of days and have fun in the pool and have people over and doing all those fun things. And then next week, I've got to get really busy. But today, I am showing the August tour of the garden. I actually think the September tour will be better because tropicals will even be further along then, but I think there's a lot of good stuff to show you this week. And then, if you heard the headline, I have something blooming that has never bloomed before, and I love that. And I'm also showing my tomato sauce recipe, which I think it's fun. And then at the very end, please stay tuned. I'm trying another one of my little soap opera fun things. I think it's funny. I'm learning a lot about camera angles and editing, so I'm having a lot of fun with that. So yeah, lots of things going on in the garden. Let's just go dive into it and have some fun in the garden today. It is so late, but my night jasmine is finally getting buds on it. In fact, it has a couple of little flowers. It is taken all summer long. I have no idea why it took so long to finally decide to bloom. And I wish it bloomed when everything was really humid because that's when the fragrance is so much better. But at least it's going to. I have no idea. If anyone has any ideas on why it's so late this year, I would love to know. The area just beyond my gate, I think, looks really good. This is where the clumping bamboo used to be. Now I've got my Cuban royal palm there, and now my Roebelinii really shows off among all the alocasia and elephant ears and bird of paradise in here. It was just a little too dense, and I didn't get to really show off everything. And so back in here you can see the alocasia is even higher. I mean, that is almost 8 feet tall back there. And my Washingtonia and my bananas, everything. I love when there's a nice big impact right when you come in the gate because it's very dramatic, and I like that, of course. My non-hardy pomegranate still has no buds, no flowers. If anyone has any advice on that, I do cover it. Maybe I cover it too much in the winter, and I do add some supplemental heat. Over here I've got my cannas, and here's my hardy pomegranate that has pomegranates on it. this one has done really well this year, just like last year, so I'm happy about that. Of course, my unknown Trachycarpus is just towering now, and I still can't believe this came in the mail just a few years ago. It is the fastest growing of all my palm trees right now. It's out of control, insane in how much it is growing. This was an extra canna I put under the deck because I had no place to put it, and I've never had it bloom so nice, and I think it's because it's in the shade. I have no other explanation. And down in here is my Gunnera. It has really stopped growing, and I guess because of the season, but please chime in if anyone has any advice. I hope it's doing okay. It looks pretty good. It's just there's no new growth on it at this point, so maybe it is the end of the season for it. And just some Shiso going along here. It still hasn't gone to seed this year, which is very, very late, but it's such a nice big barrier in front of all my baby Trachycarpus that I have in front of it. It's blocking a lot of the stuff underneath my deck, which I love. Musa Basjoo over here, the one that had the flower in the spring, still hasn't done anything, and that's my Cannabis. But yeah, there's the flower bud. It just is hanging out. Has not all season. That came out in May, and it's still just sitting there not doing much, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. My Ponderosa lemon here. I have to get my covering going for that, and then my Chilean wine palm hybrid, of course, looking fantastic as always. I just love this palm so much. And here's just another look at the Shiso blocking what's underneath my patio. And just my Norfolk Island pines. They're very happy this year. And my ginger is finally blooming, and these are the weird blooms on this hardy ginger. They're like right against the ground. It's so odd, but it's done so well this year. I'm very happy with it. And Jose, I have to give you some so that you have some of this, so because it's great. Back to my Cuban royal palm. I thought it would really take off this year. It did not. I don't know why. The Roebelinii has definitely grown a lot. It just continues to get bigger and bigger, which I thought they were very slow growing, but it's actually grown quite fast. And next year it's a little hidden. I want to unhide it. And then going down to the pool, my red bananas, my incente, and then my castor beans, they have not grown that much this year. I just think it was a little too hot and a little too dry, although they like heat, but I think it was too dry. But I love walking down here when the Musa Basjoo, the bananas are so tall that they tower over my head, and it just makes for such a nice tropical feel with the clumping bamboo on one side and the Musa Basjoo on the other side, and then the non-clumping bamboo way over on the right-hand side. I just think it's amazing, and I love how when you're going down here underneath the bananas, and then the pool garden and the Hudson River are revealed, and it looks super, super tropical right there. It does not look like you're in the Hudson Valley. The lavender has bloomed all summer long. I've never had that happen before, ever. And that's my Phoenix dactylifera. That's one of my smaller ones that's still in a planter. And my Madagascar palm, the top is starting to branch out into different branches, which it never did till this year. And then I love the base. It's so nice and wide. But I definitely need to get in there and weed. And my cannas are, as I've said before, just out of control big. I keep trying to catch all the hummingbirds going into it, but they are pushing 9 feet tall now. I've never had cannas get that big before. I think the heat and the fact that I water this area constantly is helping. My Cleome, I love that little flower. They just come up everywhere. Once you have one, they will seed for a long, long time, for many seasons to come. And then the mule palm, and the Musa Basjoo there that died to the ground. It did not get that big this year, and I think I'm going to move it. And just a look at the pool shed. And here as I'm walking, I just see all the things I haven't done. I haven't cleaned up my large Trachycarpus. You can still see where they bloomed earlier in the year. I have not cleaned up my Yucca rostrata. You can still see where it bloomed earlier in the year. I need to chop that off. And then, luckily, to distract me from all of that is my Plumaria that is blooming very nicely right here. And it smells so good, and it looks so pretty. Among all the zinnias and the Musa Basjoo that's down here. But I love having this pop of color and with all this green. So pretty. And then my Cannabis is got some odd looking yellowing of the leaves. And my friend Davey says that it got too hot, even though I've been watering it. So I'm hoping these cooler temperatures will help. My big, gigantic Washingtonia robusta, it had a rough start this season, but it's looking so good. I still think this is a hybrid. It looks very different from the other two large Washingtonia robustas. And maybe this has a florifera in it. It just has a different shape to it than the other two. But who knows? It could be just the way it is. This one is my problem, one of my problem Washingtonia robustas that got hit by the snow. I think this one is coming back. I wish it had come back earlier, but I think it'll be okay. Fingers crossed. And when I get it ready for the evil season, and there's my agaves and baby agave americanas coming up, and amaryllis in the background. I need to dig those up and put them in some dark so they will bloom for the winter. Ugh, I said it. Ugh. And then more of my tropical bananas just looking so fine. I love that view. The other problem one, I'm not sure if this will make it. It keeps pushing out bad growth that I don't know. We'll see on this one. Fingers crossed. Who knows? But lots of zinnias in there, and they all look really, really nice. And the bees just are all over these. I think it's just the fact that there's so much color. But yes, my neighbors should be very happy with the honey they get this year because they're all over here in my flowers all the time. And that is the evil, evil nightshade. It's a weed. I think it's in the tomato family, but it has these horrible thorns, and I keep pulling it out, and you really need gloves to pull it out because it will get you every time. So I've got to go get gloves and pull that out. But the butterfly bushes are doing great. And out in my garden, I still have so many tomatoes, and you're going to see my tomato sauce recipe that is coming up in this. But yeah, I've still got so many more to get. And as you can see, I have a few squashes out here. I've got to harvest them soon. They're a little late this year too, and I don't know if it's just from lack of rain or what, but everything feels a little behind. The view from the field looking up toward the pool area, that's the unintentional, not planted sunflower. And then my friend Paul gave me a bunch of these baby hydrangeas, and one is finally blooming. And I really neglect these. I'm glad they're surviving, and I have more to plant that Paul gave me on this hill. And here's the other unintentional sunflower. And then out in my field, my Paw Paws are getting bigger, and they should be ripe pretty soon. They're such a fun fruit, and let's just hope the groundhogs do not get them. And I have a few apples left, and the groundhogs go after those too. They actually climb up in the trees, and I caught several. I need to set the traps and catch them and relocate them, because otherwise I won't have any fruit down here at all. but I love looking up from the field. And then my figs, they all died to the ground, as you probably heard on my previous episodes, but they all have figs on them. But now is the question, will they ripen before the first frost? That's always the case. So they probably have a month and a half left, unless it gets really cold sooner. So maybe we will see if I actually get some figs this year. And there is my other Camarops Chamarops and my Chinese fan palm. And I just love this look going up to the house. It's so tropical, and that's what I love, feeling surrounded by tropical plants on this pathway with the canopy and the bamboo and the Musa Basjoo, and it's just, and even the flying dragon hardy oranges over here. They're not orange yet. They will get orange very soon. And I feel like they're behind too this year. I feel like everything's a little behind, but I just love this tropical feel that all of this has. Hey, baby. Hi. I am clearing out perennial flowers that have kind of died. Now you can see the Sylvestris much more. Unfortunately, I've got this big, gigantic sunflower right here, so I have to keep that intact. But you can definitely see the mule palm much better now. And even the monkey puzzle is starting to stand out a little better now that I'm weeding like crazy. This is everything, and I'll show you. I can't even get through the walk up here because I have so much stuff. There's so many weeds, so little time. That'll be my next book. So many weeds, so little time. Yeah, I've got to clear all this out too before I can even do more weeds. But the bananas are looking pretty fabulous hanging over the walkway. I have a lot of potatoes in the garden, but I had some extra ones that I planted really late, and they're in this pot here over by some of my palm trees that I have in pots. So I'm going to open it up and see if I actually have potatoes, and that'll tell me if I need to be digging up the ones out there. We will see. I haven't done potatoes before, so this is new. I'm sure I'm horrifying everyone on how I'm doing this, but it does look like I have potatoes here, which is fun. Definitely a few potatoes. Not bad for being in a pot. I think, let's see how many I get. This was a mishmash of the plants I had left in there, but at least I got some. And in the middle of all this, a little outdoor dinner party for friends, which was always fun to have when it's beautiful. I have to show how big this sunflower is. So first of all, my head is equal right about here. Look how much more is to this sunflower. It is gigantic. And then I want to show you down here by my Bismarck, my small one. Look how big. I mean, that's like a tree trunk there. It's crazy. And there are so many flowers on it. It's just flowers everywhere. It's just got buds and flowers and flowers and flowers. It's so amazing considering I did not even plant this gigantic thing. It just makes me laugh. Even on a cloudy day, it's so nice and bright out here among my zinnias that are also quite large. But I love it. Here is the other one that is on the other side of the pool, but the flowers are just so nice and big. And it's not quite as thick as the other one, but I'm gonna get a lot more flowers on this one as well. But it's just so beautiful, and the bees love it. Welcome back to my kitchen. We haven't been inside for a while because everything is outside, but a lot of you have been asking about my tomato sauce recipe. And to be perfectly honest, I don't have a recipe. I kind of throw things together. That's sort of how I cook. If I'm baking, I use recipes, but when I'm doing things like sauce, I kind of just throw stuff. But over the years, because I've been doing tomatoes a long time, sorry about the parrots in the background, I found an easier way to do tomato sauce. And I used to go through that whole process of putting all the tomatoes in boiling water and peeling the skin off and doing all of that. And I have come up with a much easier way than that. So that said, I've got a lot of tomatoes. So this is one bowl. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 more bowls. And this is not the first. I've been doing this for weeks here. And my goal is to have a lot of tomato sauce so that I can, and a lot of sun-dried tomatoes that I put in my dehydrator. Yes, dehydrator. I almost said dehumidifier, dehydrator. And I want to show you how I'm doing that so that you see my process, and hopefully it'll make it a little bit easier on some of you. And then of course, I'm sure some of you have even a better process. So feel free to chime in the comments and tell me what you're doing, because I'm always looking for an easier way. I do pick tomatoes when they are a little still yellow or a little green and let them ripen up in my windowsill. That way you kind of avoid bugs attacking them and things like that. And that way I don't have to use any pesticides as well. So when they're ready, that's when I start. I usually use a large, heavy pot. I'm spraying some olive oil on the bottom just to keep it from burning, even though if you don't stir it enough or you have the temperature too high, that's one risk you have with tomato sauce. Definitely wash everything off. The setup is tomatoes, cutting board with sharp knife, bowl to put what I'm not putting in the sauce that I will give to my worms, and that's a whole other story, and then my pot. Trying to do this with one hand. I cut off the top. I don't know if I can do this with one hand. Got it. Okay. And then I'm going to cut this in half. And this is much faster when you can use two hands. And rather than peel off the skin, I'm basically just getting rid of all the seeds and the stuff inside. As I said, much easier with two hands. And then you have basically this, and I'm leaving the skin on and throwing into the pot. Same thing here. Basically just getting, and this is messy, so dress appropriately. So you're ending up, you can rip this apart a little bit more, and if you want, you can kind of take that out. Two on the top. It's much, like I said, much easier with two hands. And putting it into the pot. And I'm just gonna keep repeating that over and over and over. I do it a little bit like a production line. So I've got all the tops off of these. They're all in here. Now they've all been halved. I'll just start putting everything in there and into the pot. And this moves pretty fast this way. This is what you want the tomato halves to look like as you put them into the sauce after you empty all the inside into here. And that actually went really fast. A lot of stuff for my worms once I drain it. But then I've got all this tomato to go here for the sauce. But I still have more and more to do. And that's quite a bit in there. Now I need to add some seasoning. I'm adding 1 large onion. This does not need to be chopped up too much because it's all going to go into the food processor after it is cooked. Garlic, 3 carrots, 2 peppers, some basil right off the plant. I'm adding a little dried oregano from my garden. And this you may feel differently about, but I like tomato sauce that has a little spice to it. And I am adding some cayenne pepper. And I actually like it a lot. So, and I may even add more later. I will taste. You don't want to add too much unless you're me who loves spices, but that's good for the moment. We'll see what it tastes like. Of course, some salt to taste. I am going to set it on high for the moment to get it going. But then you need to be very careful because it's a big pot and it's full. So you're going to have to stir a lot. And I'm going to turn it way down so it's just simmering, and it's going to go that way for probably 4 or 5 hours because we want this to really cook down. And at this point, everything is still it's so crisp that you can't. It's like hard to even stir. That's why you got to be careful when you're doing this much that it doesn't burn on the bottom. I am basically cooking down the sauce. You can see how it kind of starts. You can tell the liquid has gone lower, but I just have to constantly keep this stirred in here because I don't want it to burn on the bottom. But yes, it's cooking away right now. Doing really well. I ran out of time yesterday, so I put my sauce that was cooked down yesterday over several hours in the refrigerator, and now I'm going to take this sauce that has not been cut up and run it through the food processor and then taste it, which that's always the key, is to decide what I need to add at this point. And this does get a bit messy because you're dealing with lots of parts. And I don't fill the food processor too full because it's going to basically turn it to a sauce, and you don't want that leaking all over the place. And that's what it looks like. It now looks like tomato sauce. It smells really good. I haven't tasted it yet. I'm gonna keep adding in over here first. Now for the taste test. I think it's really yummy. Tastes good. Not too spicy. It's got a little bit of a sweet flavor to it, maybe from the carrots or even the peppers, but good stuff. Yum. So in canning, you don't have to use a pressure cooker to can tomato sauce. Other things you will need to do that, but tomato sauce, you basically just need to heat it up, and we're going to do a boil bath with this. So of course you want to make sure that all your glass and tops are nice and clean. I dip them in the boiling water and then set them aside. I put them in there to just do a final sterilization of everything in the boiling water. And you want to just make sure they're completely covered in the water when you do this. And then you take them all out and let them dry, getting them ready to put the sauce into it. And that little contraption that I have is actually really good because it's so much easier to pull out the glass jars from the boiling water. I forgot to record one step. You need a teaspoon of lemon juice on the top before you put the lid on. And then once you put the lid on, you put back into the boiling water and make sure the top is completely covered, as I'm showing you here. and you want it to boil for 45 minutes. I just had the lid on here just to keep it from boiling over. But then you have tomato sauce, and you just want to make sure the tops are depressed. They're not popped up. And that means it is completely sealed. I am so lucky I saw this, because I have this extra little deck that I rarely go on. My dragon fruit that I've had for 4 or 5 years, I grew from seed from the fruit from the grocery store, has finally have buds on it to bloom. I don't even know how I saw this. I'm just so thrilled that I did. And then coming out in the dark at night to see it, and it is blooming, and it is so pretty. I had no idea they were, I was growing these more for the fruit. I didn't realize they would have such a beautiful bloom on it, and just so lovely. And if it's still that way in the morning, I'm going to show you what it looks like in the daylight. But it's so exciting. Finally, it has, I didn't think it ever was going to do anything, actually. And in the morning, I'm always up early, but I wanted to go out and see it. So I'm sure it's not going to be in bloom much longer. But yeah, it looks so beautiful. So thankful I saw this. It is just crazy that I even did. So I got very lucky on this one. But maybe I'll get fruit. I don't know. I don't even know what it takes to propagate or to pollinate these. So we will see if anything happens. But yeah, exciting, exciting. I love when things bloom for the first time and you weren't expecting it. I think I hear thunder. My meltdown this week is pretty easy. We need rain. It rained once last week, and it rained a lot, but it has not rained since. And right now I have no rain in the forecast. So even though I'm standing in the shade, well, I was, now I'm out from under the umbrella. It's really hot out here. And we're having cool nights, but really warm days and no rain, like none. And even though I have clouds back there that you can see, no rain, and we need some rain, and I am watering so much still. And of course, you know, in a couple of weeks, maybe we'll have torrential rain, but I just don't want to go into that season that I will not name without having a little more rain. Just worried, a little worried. I want all the plants to be really healthy before that horrible season starts. So it needs to rain here. So if it's raining where you are, send it my way. I would really appreciate that. Good God, is somebody gonna get that door?
All right, what do you need?
Good afternoon. I've been instructed to remove all your tropical plants and replace them with AstroTurf.
You're gonna destroy the plants?
What did you say? AstroTurf in my upper Bombville Riviera?
Yes, every palm, banana, fern, and every exotic plant gone, all replaced with artificial turf.
This reeks of one man's evil design.
My twin brother, Brim. You tell Brim that AstroTurf is soulless, and I have chlorophyll in my veins, and as long as there is a Palm Valley, it will remain tropical. Now
get the hell off my property and tell that Brim I will be coming over to have a word with him. Leave! Go! Get out!